Mach 10? Let's give Mach 10.
Now remember, the contract threshold is Mach 10. Not 10.1, not 10.2, Mach 10.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Situation Podcast. I'm Antone.
And this is Brother Z.
Tonight, we've had a lot of people asking us. We've mentioned it on a couple of previous episodes, Ziad, but tonight we're talking film, and we're talking the difference between narrative and action.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because, you know, I came to Anthony's house, and you know, suddenly we're watching this film, and I was like telling him, why the hell are we watching this film? It's from the 1980s. And then he was like, can't you see the resemblance of something else?
Philip Kaufman's The Right Stuff, 1983. And tonight we're going to have a little bit of a exploration on this film. And we're going to maybe compare this to a film that you might maybe know. Ziad, there might be a lot of viewers out there that might know what film this inspired.
Yes.
Should we say now, or should we wait to the end?
I mean, I think we should introduce.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
you away you go.
So, you know, The Right Stuff is a movie that was done back in the 80s. 83 specifically. And I haven't seen this film before. You know, Anthony introduced me to this film. But it's the exact same thing, the whole beginning, what was happening, the sequence with Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick. Last week we talked about Tom Cruise. Week before, I can't remember. We're recording so many podcasts, they're starting to blur. But I do remember the train. We talked about trains. But we certainly tonight want to look at the narrative of that. And we want to look at some of the comparisons. And we're going to jump cut in some of the scenes from the movie throughout this film. And we're going to talk to that. But the first one I want to talk about, Ziad, is the opening scene. Now, I don't know if you remember the opening scene in Kaufman's The Right Stuff, but they were trying to break the sound barrier.
Exactly. And that was exactly what we've seen in Top Gun. You know, Tom Cruise comes in, you know, he does this whole, you know, sequence of him trying to break Mach 10.
And of course, in The Right Stuff, they're trying to break Mach 1.
0.96. We got some more buttons. More commotion. Get kind of wobbly here. 0.98. She's getting real active. Come on, sweetheart, just a little more. Just a little. Come on. Come on. 0.99. What's that sound?
And of course, we all know in the Top Gun Maverick movie, he just went for, and let me just check my notes because I'd hate to misquote Tom Cruise, just a little push.
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. Just a little push.
Just a little push to go from Mach 10 to 10.1. And of course, there's a couple of other similarities in the film, Ziad.
I mean, for me, one of the main things was the bar. When I saw the bar scene, that for me was like exactly when Tom Cruise walks into the bar and sees his old fling, or like his old
Flame.
Yeah.
The flame out situation
It's a
was
flame out.
referred to in Maverick when they were doing the test run.
Yeah.
And they flame out.
Exactly.
And this was a nice little analogy that they did.
Well, what's interesting, Antoine, and this is something that maybe you can delve into, which is why is watching for me someone these days watching Gun Maverick is interesting. It's a box office hit, but then when you watch a movie back in the 80s, you see that scene, you're not affected as much.
Well, is it Jerry Bruckheimer?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the classic at making the big production box office smashes. And, you know, Kaufman's work in The Right Stuff was very much historical. The Right Stuff is a narrative in and around the trying to break, you know, post-World War II. It's set in 1947. We'll come out of the World War II. And one of the reoccurring films is It Can't Be Done. It Can't Be Done. In the early scenes, and we'll drop some of this in. You know, Chuck Yeager was the guy that was employed by the Air Force and was prepared to do it. The hired guns were there to do it, but they really thought it couldn't be done. It was about Y2, very similar to Y2K, Ziad, that I was watching the other day, where everyone thought 1999 at 11:59 all the computers would shut down.
Yes, I remember that day.
People actually believed when you broke the sound barrier, something would happen. But It Can't Be Done. Let's jump forward to Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He wasn't running on a train that day.
He was on a, bike, and the guy in The Right Stuff was on a horse. Again, that's another similarity.
Very much so. They want Mark 10. Let's give them Mark 10. They want Mark 1. So the similarities are there. Even the female leads, the femme fatales, in the movie,
they even looked kind of similar.
Very similar, curly hair, that kind of American Girl Next Door.
Yeah, because it's funny, like in the Top Gun Maverick, it wasn't the actual actress who was in the original Top Gun, so they got, forgot her name, but we all know her.
Yeah, we'll drop her down in the description.
But it's funny, like the one they got in the new Top Gun looks kind of similar to the one from The Right Stuff. So it's kind of like they went back and watched the film.
Well, I'm glad you brought up characters, and there's one character that's been through, was in The Right Stuff, was in Top Gun, and was in Maverick.
Ed Harris, my friends.
Ed Harris. What a guy. I mean, I don't know what people think of Ed Harris, but, he played the part of John Glenn in The Right Stuff. Now, John Glenn, we all know about John Glenn and the space mission and that he went to. And he was a Top Gun pilot, John Glenn. And very much the way that they went into that part of the movie was very interesting. But it was actually quite funny that John Glenn didn't do the orbits around them. It was Leroy Cooper, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Played by Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid, yeah.
Who did the, that was the famous quote, higher, faster.
Yeah.
And a lot of people wonder where that came from, but that came from that particular movie. Another one I want to talk about with narrative. So, The Right Stuff was about picking a team.
Yeah.
Now, what did Tom Cruise have to do?
Pick a team.
Pick a team.
Choose your 2 Foxtrot teams.
Payback and Fanboy. Phoenix and Bob.
And your wingman.
Rooster.
When he had to also do that. And a big part of what we here like to do at the Situation Podcast, and we've got the Brother Memphis Slim album in the background. We've been listening to a little bit of Memphis Slim, and he's one of my all-time favorite piano players. If you want to look him up, Chess Masters Records have him. But Fats Domino, Ziad.
Yeah.
Great Balls of Fire was the soundtrack, a big part of The Right Stuff. And what does we remember in Top Gun, Rooster, I think.
Rooster, the son of Goose.
Son of Goose. Rooster, son of Goose.
Yeah. he's the son of Goose, and we all know that scene, the classic, which became a classic scene, where he starts playing the piano and singing the same song that his dad did, Goose, back in the Top Gun movie.
Yeah, the first movie. Yeah.
And the same thing happens in the right stuff.
It does, and it actually, the other one that we want to talk about, and we're covering a lot of ground, is the narrative that was drawn in the right stuff. They wanted to send monkeys into space and not humans. Now, this was a big debate, and we can go back over time. I mean, if it wasn't for the Russians and their movement into space with the manned pilot, perhaps they would have sent the monkeys in. But in Maverick Top Gun, of course, the main character there, Ed Harris, he wants to remove pilots. And in fact, that opening scene, he's arriving, and I think the phrase he likes to use is, pilots need to take a piss, whereas the AI computer pilot won't do that. And that's what was that's what the battle was. So again, it was very much the same, maybe not the same narrative, but certainly influenced by the same thought.
Definitely influenced. I mean, but obviously a different pace, different style of storytelling, different type of, focusing on narrative versus action. In Top Gun, we see there's a lot of action happening, lots of flight sequences, versus in the right stuff, it's more about narrative and storytelling.
Yeah. Now, Ziad, I don't know whether I don't like that look.
I don't like that look, man.
It's the only one I got.
So it's been a great pleasure. Cheers, Ziad.
Cheers.
It's great to chat
Antoine.
tonight. We'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys.